The betrayal beneath the surface. The city lights flickered through the high-rise window, casting shadows on the walls as Celeste sat in silence, staring at her reflection in the darkened glass. Something felt off. The air was thick with unspoken words, and the space she once shared with her fiancé, Damien, had become suffocating. She had felt it for weeks: the distance, the coldness in his touch, the late nights that turned into early mornings with no explanation. The unraveling truth. Celeste wasn't naive. She had learned to read between the lines, the pauses in his voice, the way his phone screen dimmed whenever she entered the room. She knew. But what she didn't know was the depth of the betrayal that awaited her. Her best friend, Maya, had been the one to drop the first hint. "Cel, you ever wonder why Damien's been dodging certain conversations? Something doesn't sit right with me." Maya had always been overprotective, but this time, Celeste could hear the concern woven between the words. That night, curiosity turned into investigation. She traced the breadcrumbs. Unfamiliar names on his social media, receipts from places she had never been with him, the scent of unfamiliar perfume on his clothes. And then, she found a message from an unknown number that simply read, "Last night was unforgettable." The karmic interloper. Her heart pounded as she followed the trail. The woman's name was Lilith Vaughn. A self-proclaimed influencer, all sultry smiles and calculated posts. The type of woman who thrived on chaos. It wasn't. Lilith had set her sights on Damien, knowing full well he was engaged, and he had fallen for it. Confrontation wasn't Celeste's style, but when she walked into Damien's loft that evening, the air was electric with tension. "Tell me the truth," she said, her voice calm, though her insides were ablaze. Damien hesitated, and in that moment, she knew everything. "Cel, it was a mistake," he stammered, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "A mistake," she repeated, her voice laced with quiet fury. "You didn't just trip and fall into her bed, Damien." He had no defense, and she had no patience for lies. The plot twist. As Celeste braced herself for heartbreak, another revelation surfaced. Lilith hadn't been Damien's only secret. He had been seeing someone else, someone much closer to home. The second name that surfaced in her search sent her world crumbling. Lucas, her childhood friend. The person she had confided in since she was 12. The same Lucas who had been there to comfort her on nights when Damien had been working late. Her breath hitched, not because of the infidelity itself, but because of the deception, the ease with which Damien had juggled his double life. When confronted, Damien's mask cracked. He had never intended to be exposed. But karma, it seemed, had other plans. The consequence of betrayal. Lilith, scorned and vindictive, wasted no time in exposing Damien. She didn't care about the damage, she only cared about revenge. Screenshots, voice recordings, even a video of Damien whispering sweet nothings into her ear. While on a supposed business trip, it spread like wildfire through their social circles, unraveling the carefully curated life he had built. As for Lucas, the truth weighed on him like an anchor. He confessed. He had always harbored feelings for Damien, had been drawn into his orbit under false promises, and had been blinded by emotion. But guilt had already taken root. The path forward. Celeste didn't waste time drowning in sorrow. Heartbreak, after all, was not her weakness, it was her awakening. She cut the ties that bound her to a liar, reclaimed the life that had nearly been stolen, and walked away with her head high. And Damien, he had lost everything: his fiancé, his reputation, his illusions of control. He had gambled with fate, and fate had played its hand. As for Lilith, she moved on to her next conquest, unbothered by the wreckage she left behind. And Lucas, he sought forgiveness not from Celeste, but from himself. Some betrayals leave wounds that never heal, but Celeste chose not to let them define her. She rose from the ashes, stronger, wiser, and untouchable. Because in the end, betrayal is not the end of the story, it is merely the beginning of a new chapter. You either face your truth and rise, or be consumed by the consequences of your deception. The choice is yours.